I say this all the time too. Y'all telling on yourselves going back and forth with your players. You're telling on yourselves back and forth with LeBron. You're telling on yourselves going back and forth with other people that are calling you out for booing Deshaun Watson. Players talk, man. You don't think players are like, wow, okay, so they just booed a guy who ruptured his Achilles? Okay. And again, if I'm Shador Sanders, who Dion has already said there's certain teams he doesn't want his boys going to. I think Cleveland was probably already on that list, but I think they cemented themselves on this list after what they did to Sean Watson, because Deion Sanders was one of those people that said that was Bush League. Be careful, Cleveland fans. I'm telling you, players talk. Be careful, Cleveland. You might have just cost yourself because again, I don't think they're that far away. I think this could be a quick retool, but you're going to need players to buy in. If your own players that are already there are kind of looking at their fans like, yo, bro, really? That's what we're doing? It's going to be very hard for outside players to buy into what you're doing. I'm just saying. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's another great day to discuss other people's excellence. I'm the unforgettable one himself, Mr. Brett Carroll, and I'm just a guy that likes daydreaming at work. All right, I'm solo again this week. Again, scheduling conflicts, but that's okay. We're gonna press on here. This is our week 7 review. It's gonna be a little shorter one. Week 7 didn't really have much to talk about. So we're gonna get into it. I got Jared Goff here in the thumbnail. He's playing amazingly well. The Lions are legit. Even without Aiden Hutchinson, they were able to knock off the Vikings. He's a legit MVP candidate, and you love to see it the way his journey started. Um, not playing up and down for the Rams. Everybody thought he was a product of the system. They dumped him to Detroit of all places, and he's been able to resurrect his career. And the Lions look really good, and he looks really good. And he's in the MVP conversation, and we're going to start having to talk about him as a potential top 5 quarterback, which is insane. We would have never thought to put Jared Goff and top 5 in the same sentence. So, really good for him. Really love the resurrection of his career. Same with I mean, it's not the same thing, but like even like Geno Smith in Seattle, I think he's leading the league in passing yards and stuff like that. And it's weird. Over the last few seasons, at the beginning of the year, it's always, well, should the Lions draft a quarterback? Because we know Jared Goff isn't the guy. Should Seattle draft a quarterback? Because we know Geno Smith is just the guy for now, but he's not the guy of the future. If these guys keep playing like this, they're still young enough. They're the guys. So love to see it, love to see it, and you know, happy for him. So we're gonna you know, just want to shout him out real quick. Speaking of resurrections, okay. It didn't look good at first, but man, oh man, Russell Wilson and the Steelers looked good on Sunday night. This is probably the best game the Steelers had in years. The defense played great. Special teams was awesome, including a block kick that they tried to take back that the league just said, yeah, my bad. It was a bad call. Yeah, we know. And the offense made some plays down the field, and it was beautiful to see. Coach T, you look like a genius, brother. You look like a genius. I'm gonna criticize you when you need to be criticized. I'm gonna give you props when you need to give your props. That was a ballsy move, and you made it, and it looked good. Russ looked good. I was saying the whole time, I understand why you're taking Russell Wilson. I didn't think he made the offense much better. The way I looked at it was this: I think they know they're gonna bring back Justin. I think they said, you know what? If the offense isn't going to be that much better anyway, put Russ in because at least we protect that 4th round pick, which again is huge. I know a lot of fans are poo-pooing that and downplaying that. That is huge. I'm telling you, that is huge. We need players. We need another receiver. We might need another running back. Najee's been playing well the last 2 games. Maybe they bring him back, maybe not. So we might need another running back. We might need another piece in the offensive line because Broderick Jones is still up and down. We might need another corner. Our corners, Beanie Bishop's been playing well. Dante Jackson's been playing well, but again, he could be a free agent. I don't know if they bring him back. They might. I don't think there's a safety on the roster that's signed through next year besides Minka. So even though Deshaun Elliott's playing well and Devontae Casey's been playing well as a backup role, they're both free agents. We need pieces. And again, even if you bring Justin back, you probably want to bring in another quarterback, even if it's going to be a backup. So you need pieces. You need those you need all four of your first round picks. So I thought this was one of those, look, if we're going to be 9-8 anyway, and if the offense is going to look bad anyway, let's put Russ in because at least uh we protect that fourth round pick. I understood the passing game would be better. The question was, would it be that much better? And the answer is yes. Again, it's one game. I'm not going to overreact to one game. But what Russ does better than Justin Fields is the deep ball. And that's important because what we were seeing was even when Justin was throwing the deep ball, he throws more of a line drive, which is harder for a receiver to adjust, which is harder for them to make a play on it. And because he throws such a line drive deep ball, you have to be way more accurate. A lot of people were saying, hey, Russell Wilson kind of got bailed out on a lot of those deep balls. Like the one the Pickens that kind of started it off was underthrown and he kind of adjusted to it and made a one-handed grab. Pat Freiermuth made a one-handed grab. Uh Pickens again was kind of underthrown, but he was able to juggle it and catch it. Cool. What people don't realize is because he has that perfectly patented moon ball that kind of just comes straight down out the sky like that, it's easier for the receiver to track it. It's easier for them to make an adjustment and catch the ball. Where again, we saw, especially in that Cowboys game, Justin Fields was throwing like a line drive dart. So it has to be pinpoint accurate. And as a receiver, you have less time to try to make an adjustment and try to catch it. So because Russell Wilson throws those patented moon balls, even if it's not as accurate as it should be as a receiver, it's easier for you to adjust and make the adjustment to make the catch. Also, he was great on play action. That's something that he's always been good at, and that's something that Arthur Smith wants to do. I will say this. I don't know if this is by design. I don't know if it's because of just the trust factor, because Russell Wilson's a veteran. They did seem to open up the offense a lot more for us. I've been saying if you're going to play Justin, you got to open up the offense and let him loose and live with maybe the potential turnovers if you're going to give the explosive plays, mostly through the run game, but you got to open it up for Justin more. The cynic in me says that they're not opening up the playbook because they wanted Russ to have a chance again, and that would tell me that they wanted to preserve that fourth round pick, right? The cynic in me says they purposely were limiting Justin because they knew Justin wouldn't look good in a limited offense. And they opened up the playbook for Russ because they knew Russell Wilson would look good with an opened up playbook. Um, and again, I think that would be because you want Russ to play. You want the fans to want Russ to play. So there's no pressure to put Justin back in. So you could preserve that fourth round pick. That's the cynic in me. Now, reality is, again, they're in practice every day. We're not. Russell Wilson, because he's a veteran, might have just been able to pick up the offense better than Justin has. We have seen Justin miss wide open receivers. So that's not on them not opening up the playbook. That is Justin still not seeing the field well enough. So the cynic in me says maybe it was done on purpose to try to make Russ look better than he is and make Justin look worse than he is. But the reality is we've seen enough in these 6 games that maybe it was as simple as Justin's just not ready yet. He hasn't mastered the offense yet. He hasn't seen everything yet. And so they had to kind of put the training wheels on him just to help him, right? Because he might have looked even worse if they opened up the playbook for him and he still doesn't understand the playbook like that and not seeing the field as well as he sees the field. Whereas Russ might have had a better grasp on the offense, so they felt more comfortable with him in there because they could fully open up the offense with Russ. We'll see. Again, I'm not going to say throw a parade for one game, But I will say the offense looked amazing for the first time in forever. And I will say Mike Tomlin looks like a genius. Um, and he made it very clear before the game, not after the game, but before the game. He went Lone Ranger on this. He's the one that made the decision. Nobody else really wanted to do this. He put it out on the line. So he was willing to take full blame if it went bad and full credibility if it went well, and it went well. So talk your shit, Mike. Like he said, that's why he's uh compensated well. On the other side of this, the Jets look an absolute mess. My goodness, what is going on to this Jets team? Rodgers doesn't look like himself. The team isn't clicking. They couldn't even field a punt. Like they were just bad. This looks like a disaster from top to bottom. The defenses looked worse since Robert Saleh got fired. So it's like, that's not good. But I still don't want to count them out yet. They still have two really good. I mean, talent wise, they got it. They have a top corner in Sauce Gardner. They have a young, really good receiver in Garrett Wilson. They have a guy that I still think is a top five receiver in Devontae Adams, who, again, even though he has chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, it was his first game. Let's give them time to get that chemistry back. Brees Hall was their best player that night. Brees Hall was the only guy doing anything for them, and it wasn't even in the run game for real. It was in the passing game. But they still have Brees Hall, who's a really good running back. Their offensive line needs some help, but their defense is still good. They got too much talent. They have too much talent, even with a diminished Aaron Rodgers. They got too much talent for me to just dismiss them. But this is where Aaron Rodgers' leadership or lack thereof is starting to show. Um, because this is where I hate the word culture. To me, I think that's the most overrated word in sports. When you're winning, of course, the culture is good. When you're losing, of course, the culture is bad. But in this case, I do think a lack of leadership by your best players is hurting the locker room and blaming the media and and throwing receivers under the bus and kind of taking accountability for not playing well, but not really taking accountability for not playing well. Um, I think that does matter, right? When things are going wrong, you do need that culture, right? You do need those individuals that can rally the team. And I think we did see like that was the difference in this game, right? The Steelers are one of the only teams because of Mike Tomlin and because of the foundation that he has set there. They are one of the only teams that can make a quarterback change at 4-2 when the quarterback is not playing bad but not playing great and everything clicks, right? Other teams that would have been a disaster. It worked for the Steelers. It is kind of a weird mirror game where you see one team with all the talent in the world can't seem to get right, and another team that's trying to figure it out and trying to, you know, work with what they got, and it looked amazing, right? So I guess that's where culture does come into play. To me, the history of the history of sports tells me forget culture. You got great players, you should win. Like I'll save that for a next pod because that was a big thing with the 7-Eleven team. Like, oh, the culture, the culture, the culture. The history of the league tells me forget culture. Give me good players and we'll win. But in the Jets case, they maybe might need some culture setters there. They might need some uh leaders there. So I can't poo-poo that. Um terms of Aaron Rodgers and specifically, I know there's been a lot of things like is he done? Should he retire? I'm not ready to say that yet. Again, he is coming off an Achilles. He is 40. We know with knees and Achilles and stuff like that, in modern medicine, people could come back just as good as they were before. But it usually takes them that next year to come back. So I want to see what he looks like next year. With that being said, he still has to make it through this year. And with that being said, I feel like if they lose two more games, like especially soon, if they lose two out of the next three, three out of the next four, I would shut them down. Focus on next year. Make sure he gets out of this year healthy so that next year he comes in 100%. Again, be a leader, Aaron Rodgers, and go to mini camp and go to the OTAs. Do the things that you're supposed to do as a leader. I know you're trying to be in your Brett Favre era and not playing the preseason and show up right before camp. I mean, right before the season starts, but like they need you to be a leader here. So do that. But yeah, I think if you're the Jets, I think at 2-5, This is a very short leash before you punt on this season and try to get again. They went all out not to make the playoffs and win a playoff game, right? For the Steelers, that's what they want to do. If we could just make the playoffs and win a playoff game, it's a successful season. That's all we're trying to do. It's kind of end our playoff drought and figure out what we can do to win a Super Bowl going forward. The Jets, you don't do all this just to make the playoffs and maybe win a playoff game. You did all this to win a Super Bowl. If it looks like you're gonna barely make the playoffs and probably lose in the first round anyway, again, punt on the season, worry about next year. Get ready for next year so that you can be fully healthy, so you can be fully engaged, so you have a full season with Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, and go for a Super Bowl in the 2025 season. That's what I think they should do. I'm not ready to tell Aaron Rodgers to call it quits yet because again, I do think I want to give him another year to, to recover from that injury. I understand he doesn't look as athletic as he once did, and all that other things. Cool. Again, I think I'm not saying he's going to be MVP Aaron Rodgers next year, but I do think he could play better than what he's shown us, and I want to give him another year to do that. So I think if you're the Jets, I think another loss or two, it's time to punt on this season and focus on next year and try to have a healthy Devontae and a healthy Aaron Rodgers next year and see what you can do. All right. Where do I begin with this? Um, Browns fans showed why their colors are shit stains on Sunday when they booed Deshaun Watson during his injury. This is just the latest example of Cleveland fans not supporting one of their own. Uh, I got a lot to say about this. I don't want to hear about the sexual assault allegations because you didn't care when you got them. You didn't. The internet is forever. We remember the memes, we remember the jokes, we remember the signs. Y'all poo-pooed the essay allegations. You didn't care. All you cared about was that you got a guy that you thought was still a top five quarterback and that he was going to lead you to the promised land. Um, if he was playing well, you wouldn't have been happy that he got hurt. You wouldn't have booed him. You would have been crying. You would have been saying, "Oh my God, woe is us. Why can't we just have nice things?" Da 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 da. If he was playing well, you wouldn't have been booing him. You would have been You would have been sad that he got hurt. Okay. Let me. I have a very interesting perspective in this. I'm a Steelers fan. I'm from New Jersey. Why is that important? Growing up, New Jersey was one of those states that were also the butt of all the jokes. That was also, uh, uh, the laughing stock, or the armpit of America, all this other stuff. We're either in the mob or we don't know how to say no to spray tan. Okay, Sopranos, Jersey Shore. That was our representation, right? Forget the fact that we have legends upon legends upon legends upon legends upon legends that come from this state. We've always been looked at as a joke. We've always been looked at as New York's little brother. Again, in a media that is predominantly New York based and LA based, any New York TV show or movie couldn't help but make a Jersey joke. Oh man, the only thing worse than this is living in Jersey. Ha ha ha. It's the same tired joke over and over and over again. I say that to say, growing up, I felt bad for Cleveland because I felt bad for cities like Cleveland and Detroit and stuff like that. Cities that just couldn't get right, in general, but especially in their sports, right? And Cleveland, especially because they had some of the most loyal fans in sports. We all knew that, right? They showed up even when the Browns sucked. They showed up even when the Cavs sucked. They showed up even when the Indians, now the Guardians, sucked. But that was before I lived in Ohio. I lived in Ohio for 5 years. I lived in Cleveland for 1 year. My God, I'm telling you now, they deserve all the misery that they get. It's not every Cleveland fan, it's too many, right? I don't like to say most or all. I say too many. Cleveland fans think that because they support bad teams, they have the right to act like complete a-holes. to other fans, to their own players. And it's like, dude, to be very honest with you, as a fan, the bare minimum requirement is supporting your team no matter what. That's the whole point of being a fan. Nobody respects a bandwagon fan. Nobody respects a fan that just hops from the hot team to the hot team. Nobody respects a fan that only cheers for their team when they're good, but you can't find them when their team is bad. So to be honest with you, Cleveland, yes, we give y'all props for always selling out Browns games and always supporting your teams even when they're bad. But again, that's the bare minimum requirement. That does not give you the right to treat people the way you treat people. Again, I lived in Ohio for 5 years. I lived in Cleveland for 5 years. They are some miserable people, bro. I'm telling you, some miserable people. Again, like I said, this is just the latest example of Cleveland fans not supporting their own. Let's go back. When Tim Couch was a quarterback for them and he got hurt, they booed him. Okay? Tim Couch. Um, when LeBron left, because he had the audacity to leave in free agency, right? The audacity to just want to go somewhere else. So like, hey, I give y'all 8 years. We're not getting it done. The best player you gave me was a washed Shaq and a washed Antoine Jameson. I'm going somewhere else. I'm taking my talents to South Beach. They booed him. They ridiculed him. They started this trend of burning the jersey when people leave your team. They made that famous, right? That's LeBron. That's LeBron. Grew up in Akron, went to Cleveland, gave them the best years of their life. And because he had the audacity to leave in free agency, they started the trend of burning his jersey. And again, I get their perspective. It wasn't that he left, it's because he waited so long so that they couldn't even make other moves. Y'all weren't going to make any other moves anyway. Let's be real. Stop it. That was the problem. Y'all didn't make moves. And the moves that you made were stupid moves. So whatever. Um, that's LeBron. Kyrie gets there. They treated Kyle like crap. For the 6 years he was there, I'm telling you, again, I lived there and that's my best friend. I know the other side of it. They treated him like crap. They treated him like crap before LeBron got there. They treated him like crap when LeBron got there. He helped win a championship, so they had love for him for like a year. But then the next year when he requested a trade, they hated him and they booed him. They're just now giving him his flowers. They're just now kind of loving up on him and saying thank you for the memories and thank you for helping us win a ring, right? It's just now becoming love between him and Cleveland. They treated him like crap. Okay. Baker Mayfield. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this Deshaun Watson thing. Again, my perspective is different. I'm a Steelers fan. Let me tell you something. They hate the Steelers. They hate the Steelers. They can't stand the Steelers. They hate the Steelers more than Cincinnati, who's their in-state rival. They hate the Steelers more than Baltimore, who stole their team in the middle of the night on Christmas Eve of all days. They woke up on Christmas morning with no team. Cleveland fans woke up on Christmas morning with no team. They went to Baltimore, became the Ravens, went on to win 2 Super Bowls, and are now considered one of the best run and most respected organizations in all of football. They hate the Steelers more than them. They hate the Steelers. They may hate the Steelers more than those two teams combined. They hate the Steelers. Why is that important? Baker Mayfield, a guy who they drafted with the #1 overall pick, a guy that they developed, a guy that, along with Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb, turned that team around, turned that organization around, turned the culture around, like we just talked about, gave them swag, gave them purpose, gave them hope. He went into Pittsburgh not once, but twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row, and beat the Steelers twice in a row. One to end their playoff drought that was almost 20 years old. And then again the next week when he beat the brakes off the Steelers to win them their first playoff game in over 30 years. That's what Baker Mayfield did, their guy. 2 months later, oh, by the way, then he went on to Kansas City and actually played well against Kansas City. They barely lost to Kansas City. 2 months later, they find out that Deshaun Watson wants to get traded from Houston, and every Browns fan said, "Oh yeah, get rid of Baker Mayfield, go get Deshaun Watson." What? The guy that you drafted, the guy that you developed, the guy that came into your building and turned your franchise around, and not only ended your playoff drought of almost 20 years, not only ended your playoff win drought of 30 years, but did it beating your arch rival twice to do it? And basically ending Ben Roethlisberger's career, literally ending Mike Pouncey's career. That was his last game. And your first thought is, oh, thank you, great, but get rid of him for Deshaun Watson. I understand Deshaun Watson was the better player at the time. I understand at the time we didn't know about the sexual assault allegations. But again, this is what I'm talking about. Where is the loyalty? Where is protecting your own, supporting your own, backing your own? You were so quick to get rid of Baker Mayfield for Deshaun Watson because he was the shiny new toy. Oh, forget this guy. We know he's okay. We know, thank you for everything you did for us, but we want the shiny new toy. Again, the same thing with Kai. You didn't appreciate him when he was here. You hated LeBron, but when you got a glimpse that LeBron might be wanting to come back, you said, forget all that. Bring LeBron back, bring LeBron back, bring LeBron back, bring LeBron back. And obviously he came back and won you a championship, so it worked out. But you did the same thing to Kai. Oh, we don't care that you're our own and you came here when we desperately needed another face of our franchise and you put on for the city. We don't care about that. We want the shiny new toy. Forget you. We want the shiny new toy. Back to Baker Mayfield. The next year, Baker Mayfield plays with a bad shoulder. Still went out there and gave it your all. You booed him. You booed him too. Get him out of here. We want Deshaun Watson. And at this point, we knew about the sexual allegation stuff. And he still said, forget him, forget what he did for us, forget that he's playing hurt, forget that he's giving us his all. We don't want him. We want Deshaun Watson. And then you get Deshaun Watson. And again, you didn't care about the sexual allegations. I don't want to hear about it now. Y'all are going back and forth with LeBron. You're going back and forth with other Browns players say, who got the nerve to audacity to tell y'all, yo, don't boo us. What is wrong with you? These are we're putting our bodies on the line for you and you're booing. Oh, well, he made all this money and you're protecting a predator and oh, don't give me that crap. You didn't care about that. You did not care about that. All you care about is that he hasn't been playing well. I'm t- I'm telling y'all, Cleveland fans are terrible fans. Again, not all of them, too many of them. And I'm telling you from experience, they don't deserve happiness. I'm telling you, not in their sports lives. Again, unlike them, I don't wish ill will on people. So I want them to be happy and healthy and you know I don't want anything bad to happen to them personally, but on in sports, they deserve every heartbreak imaginable. They deserve every heartbreak imaginable because this is how they treat their own players. This is just the latest example. It's easy to do that with Deshaun Watson because of his checkered past, but that's not the case for everybody. You do it no matter what. It's terrible. Like, oh, and again, I also find it ironic with the whole Deshaun Watson. Again, I'm a Steelers fan, lives in Ohio. All the Ben Roethlisberger jokes that I had to endure while I was in Ohio. Oh, your quarterback's this, your quarterback's that. I can't repeat it because it's YouTube. But let's just say there was a lot of play on words with the name Roethlisberger, as well as another word that starts with R. I'll let you do the math. So, and I used to say all the time, like, yo, you're not hurting my feelings by making fun of Ben Roethlisberger. I'm not a fan of Ben Roethlisberger. He's my quarterback. He's great. So his success is my success on the football field. But like, I'm not a Ben Roethlisberger fan. Again, I went to Ohio University. He's a Red Hawk. F him. Go Bobcats, even though we just lost to them over the weekend. Still, OU, oh yeah. F Miami. But I just find it so ironic because again, I go to school. I still follow some of y'all on social media. We went to school together. It's so funny the rhetoric when you got Deshaun Watson, you were poo-pooing those women and making fun of the women and saying, "Oh, they just wanted a payday. He ain't do nothing." Da 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 da. Y'all were so quick to defend him when it was your quarterback. But for years, we had to say, "Oh, your quarterback's this, your quarterback's that." Damn, look at you. Again, we drafted Ben Roethlisberger. We kind of, you know what I mean? Like we had to support him no matter what. That was our guy. You ain't drafted Sean Watson. You chose to trade for him. You wanted to trade for him, and you were happy you traded for him. Again, very miserable people, bro. I'm telling you. I am telling you from experience. I used to root for Cleveland on the low because as a guy from New Jersey, I had sympathy for that city because they also were the butt of all the jokes. They also couldn't seem to get right. They also are a place that people just crap on all the time, including me. I was like, man, I don't want to live in Ohio. I went there for school reasons. That's it. But after living there, I mean, Cleveland was so bad that their catchphrase was literally, at least we're not Detroit. Like that was their thing. I felt bad for them. Okay. After living there for 5 years, I'm telling you, they deserve every miserable heartbreak that they get. I'm telling you. Stay classy, Cleveland. Stay classy. This is Bush League stuff. I don't want to hear nothing about the allegations because you didn't care about them. Me and I'm sure me and Charles have talked about this on the pod. Me and Charles are not fans of Deshaun Watson because of the essay allegations. I was a fan of him before I knew about them, but once I found out about him, we are not fans. We think he did it. Not even on some will believe women type stuff. I'm like, bro, I'm believing you. Who the hell has 100 massage therapists? That don't even make no damn sense. And you're admitting that you've had sex with all of them. You're just saying it was all cordial. I'm like, bro, I don't think so. That's not adding up. Again, I know professional athletes, they're very particular about who works on their body. So why do you have 100 massage therapists? That tells me it was just for the sexual part of the relationship. And again, even if that was the case, I'm not judging. We all got our kinks. As long as you're not hurting anybody, I don't care what you do. Um, but to me, common sense was the kink wasn't the happy ending. The kink was seeing if you were going to get away with it. The kink was, oh, what's their reaction going to be when I whip it out? The kink is she going to do it or not? That was the king. That's what the common sense tells me that's what it was. So I'm believing the women based on your own defense. Your own defense is, oh yeah, I had 100 massage therapists, and oh yeah, I had happy endings from all of them. But it was all consensual. Okay, sure. If it was just about that, again, you would have had your small handful of massage therapists that worked on your body and then gave you what you wanted afterwards. You wouldn't have 100 women doing that, bro. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I don't believe that for a second. Again, we gotta say allegedly, we don't know. And even if he is telling the truth, like I've said multiple times, he still deserves to be suspended for being stupid. Why the hell would you put yourself in that situation? Nothing good was gonna come from that. So again, I'm not defending Deshaun Watson here. What I'm saying is I don't want to hear that from Browns fans because you didn't care. None of you said, oh, well, let me not say none of you. I didn't hear too many people say, yo, I don't want to win this way. It's not worth it if that's the guy I got to root for as my quarterback. I didn't hear too many of that. I heard a whole bunch of you making fun of the women, downplaying the women, downplaying the situation. I make jokes too, but I make fun of him for him being stupid. I call him Massage Watson and all this other stuff. I make fun of him, not the women. Okay? That's the difference. So again, I don't want to hear about this from Browns fans because you did not care before. And if he was balling, you still wouldn't care. You only care now because he's not playing well, and you're more mad that your cap strapped him. Again, stay classy, Cleveland. I know you won't, but again, that's why your colors are shit stains because you're shitty fans, and you deserve every single heartbreak and misery that you get. This is just another example of it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right, let's finish it up with a QB watch. Again, this was a short one this week. Not too much to really talk about. Guys that improved their stat: Cam Ward, Drew Large, Shador Sanders. Cam Ward and Shador are, I think, etching out their places as QB1s for right now. I think it's a two-team race, two-guy race with those guys right now. Drew Lock continuing to move up the board. It's still kind of quiet though. They haven't played anybody elite yet, but they're still undefeated. If he beats Ohio State, if he beats Michigan, if they go into the playoff and he plays well in the playoff, then I think we'll really start talking about Drew Allard. But right now, he's still quietly creeping his way up. I think he's starting to get first round buzz now. So again, that's the guy I've been saying look out for because he's the only guy in this quarterback class in general that I would want to draft. If I need a quarterback, that's the guy. He has the measurables, he has the potential. He's raw, he still needs to be developed. But he's the only guy in my mind out of this whole class that I can even see being a really good quarterback in the league. But Cam Ward, again, up and down, but again, he's playing well. He's making those highlight plays. He still has to cut down on some of the bad decisions, but this week he was more good than bad. So he's back up. And then guys that hurt their stock is Jalen Milroe and Quinn Ewers. I mean, my goodness, ever since that Georgia game, Jalen Milroe has kind of gone down. He was at an all-time high. He was QB1 after that Georgia game, but since then, he's kind of gone down. Again, this whole quarterback class is week to week. There's just so much inconsistencies in these guys' game. Um, there's so much unknown potential in this class. It's just not a good class. So this is a QB watch that will change week to week. If Jalen Milroe balls out this week, he might be right back up to QB1 talk. If Cam Ward and Drew Allard or Shador Sanders play bad, they'll be right back to QB5 talk. It's just that kind of draft class. There's just nobody separating themselves at the moment. Shador Sanders has been playing lights out though. Again, the Buffaloes are surprising a lot of people. Shador surprising a lot of people. Oh, that was another thing I wanted to say too with this Cleveland thing. My bad. I kind of got I meant to say this before I got my Cleveland fan rant because I knew I was gonna, as you could tell, Cleveland fans piss me off. I say this all the time too. Y'all telling on yourselves going back and forth with your players. You're telling on yourselves back and forth with LeBron. You're telling on yourselves going back and forth with other people that are calling you out for booing Deshaun Watson. Players talk, man. You don't think players are like, wow, okay, so they just booed a guy who ruptured his Achilles? Okay. Cleveland's a weird team. They're still good. I don't think they should do a fire sale. There's rumors of could Miles Garrett be on the block and da 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 da. I don't think they should have a fire sale. I know their salary cap is eh, especially with Deshaun Watson's contract, but still they're really not that many pieces away. They just need the offensive line needs a little tweaking. They now need receivers, especially now that Amari Cooper is gone, and they need a quarterback. But the defense is still really good. Um, they still have some players on offense. They still have Nick Chubb. They're not that far away. And again, if I'm Shador Sanders, who Dion has already said there are certain teams he doesn't want his boys going to, I think Cleveland was probably already on that list, but I think they cemented themselves on this list after what they did to Sean Watson, because Deion Sanders was one of those people that said that was Bush League. Be careful, Cleveland fans. I'm telling you, players talk. I said it. I said it all the time, even with the Brooklyn scenario. Everyone wants to talk about, oh, the players' fault, the players' fault, the players' fault. Fine. Even if you believe that, you think the players are going to take accountability for that? When they talk to other players about what happened to Brooklyn, they're going to give them their side of the story. So if you are a potential free agent, why would I go to Brooklyn knowing that they punted on Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden? And according to Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, it was Brooklyn's fault, not their fault. Again, whether you believe that or not, if that's what the players feel, and I'm a player, I'm going to go with what they're telling me, not what Joe Tsai and management thinks. Players talk, man. Players talk. Be careful, Cleveland. You might have just cost yourself because again, I don't think they're that far away. I think this could be a quick retool, but you're going to need players to buy in. If your own players that are already there are kind of looking at their fans like, yo, bro, really? That's what we're doing? It's going to be very hard for outside players to buy into what you're doing. I'm just saying. So Shador, yeah, he's playing really well. Again, I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts that have the Browns taking him. I don't see a scenario in hell where he goes to Cleveland now. Again, I think it would have been a great fit for him, especially with Nick Chubb, play action game, stuff like that. I don't see a scenario in hell where Dion's gonna let him go there. Not after that stunt y'all pulled. Just saying. But that's the video for today. Like I said, not that long of a video, not much to talk about this week. You can find me at Never Brett. That's NEVA underscore the number 4 BRETT underscore ME on all the socials. We are at the underscore dope blog on Instagram and threads, the dope blog, all one word on Twitter. And because you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe, and join us next time as we continue to discuss other people's excellence. Deuces.